Welcome back. So next session on AntFarm, we're going to talk about the Grasshopper integration between Rhino and Grasshopper. First we're going to do is we create a data set and we're going to put one attribute on top of the data set, and let's launch Grasshopper. There's a tab at the top. Also we added some menu to the top of the Grasshopper window. Get a little about box with a link where you can find more documentation. Just look briefly over the controls that you have, the parameters, so custom data types that we use in Grasshopper. Then the components that we're going to use, they basically mirror everything that you have on the Rhino side, you're going to have on the Grasshopper side. And every single element you can create in Grasshopper and or in Rhino. I did communicate with a live connection. So let's use the first component, and this is a list component from all the data sets basically that live in AntFarm on the Rhino side. Right now we have one data set, and there you go. You see it, AntFarm dataset name DS, the way we called it, has one attribute and currently no records. There's no data in this data set. Let's use the deconstruct or get component, and they're all built the same way. First thing at the top, they always spit out what they get. So we loop through the element that you basically get from the component on one side. Second one, you just get the name. And then S would be the settings, and let's look at A. A is the attributes. As I said, we already, right now, currently we have one attribute, and we can look and deconstruct the attribute, and it's going to give you the name, and the second part, it's going to give you the type. And I did something wrong, so actually I wanted to have this not of attribute type double. And we should change this. So what we're going to do, we go over to Rhino, delete that attribute, just remove it from the dataset. And you see any change you do on the Rhino side, you're going to have instant update on the Grasshopper side. So that switches out, it's not going to be double. We're going to change this to string, we're going to comment again, and there you go. On the Grasshopper side, you have the updated dataset. So what happens if we make a new data set on the Grasshopper side? So let's take the construct component. We're going to call that data set D1 for now. And you get an update on the UI side. So you say right away a new tab at the top, and you get a new data set. And also the component that you select in Grasshopper is going to select the right tab on the UI side, so you always update it to the one you want to see. Maybe you want to name them the same way. Even that is working, so it just overwrites them. There's only one data set that can live with that name in AntFarm. They have to be unique. But what you can have two instances right now, so each of the component holds a different definition of the data set. So the new data set, let's make it an attribute as well. I'm going to call that A1. So we just add an attribute, A1. And we have to specify the type as well. So there's a little type component up there. And right-click, you get a menu where you can specify the type of that attribute type. Just plug it in. And you see update on the UI side. So now we have a data set called the same way as we defined the data set in the beginning, but with a different attribute. So let's define three attributes. So let's do A1, 2, 3. And you see, well, there is an count mismatch right now because we have three names and we only have one type. So what we're going to need to do is we specify three types, and you can just type them in. So string double integer. You could also specify three components and pick that from the menu. Now everything is fine. Updated UI. We get three types or three attributes, and the other one is still the one we initially did in AntFarm. So last thing we're going to do, we could put some data on this data set that we just added. So populate some points, put it into the geometry, and you see they all show up on the other side. This is it. So there you go. You have the connection between Grasshopper and Rhino. See you next time.